There is a shot in ReZero Season 4 Episode 9, Subaru walking up the stairs, and you can't see his eyes, his face is darkened completely. His body is moving, but there is nobody home inside it, the self is gone. And the first time I saw it, I thought of Higurashi, specifically Episode 4 of the first season. Keiichi with half his face in shadow and the other half in pure terror, like he's watching himself from the outside and doesn't recognize what he sees. Subaru has no face at all, and Keiichi still has half of one. Same visual grammar, but different stages of the same thing. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I think both shows understand something about psychological horror that almost nothing else does. And once you see it, you can't unsee it in either of them. Okay, so most people who haven't seen Higurashi think it's a mystery show. Girl disappears, village has a curse, figure out who did it. And it is that, but that's not the horror. The horror is Keiichi Maibara, a teenager who moves to a quiet village and immediately starts misreading everything around him. And not because he is stupid or something, because the show only ever gives you his perspective. And his perspective is already starting to crack before the first episode ends. Here is how it works. He overhears things, notices gaps, asks questions that never get fully answered, and his mind fills in the gaps with threat and conspiracy and the assumption that people around him are hiding something terrible. And the thing is, sometimes they are. That's what makes it work. He's not completely wrong, he's just wrong enough that his conclusions become catastrophic. The research on this is interesting. Psychologists would describe what Keiichi experiences in that first arc as paranoid ideation driven by incomplete information. The mind under uncertainty doesn't stay neutral. It manufactures certainty, and the certainty it manufactures is almost always the worst possible version of events. Higurashi makes paranoia contagious because you're inside his head. So when he decides someone is lying, you start to believe it too, even when the evidence is thin, even when there is another explanation sitting right there. By the time the arc ends badly, and it does end badly, you don't feel like you were tricked. You rather feel like you were slowly led somewhere you should have seen coming, and that's so much worse. On another note, ReZero and Higurashi aren't doing the same thing on the surface. Higurashi is about uncertainty, not knowing what's real or whether the narrator can be trusted. ReZero is about suffering. Subaru knows exactly what happened and carries every death forward. The horror is cumulative, and every loop adds weight. But here's the thing, and this is something I've been sitting with since the derealization video I did. If you go deeper into both shows, past the surface mechanics, they sort of start to intertwine. Rika Furude in Higurashi, spoiler alert for the next 10 seconds, has been dying for a century. She remembers every loop. She carries the weight of all of it. That's not uncertainty horror, that's suffering horror. Exactly what ReZero does with Subaru. And Subaru in Season 4, losing his memories, not knowing what his own body did, hearing the group talk and misreading it as a threat, that's not suffering horror anymore. That's uncertainty horror. Exactly what Higurashi does with Keiichi. So the clean distinction breaks down the deeper you go. Both shows use both weapons. They just start from different sides. And what connects them, what makes both of them feel like the same kind of horror underneath, is that moment when the narrator stops being reliable. When you realize you can't fully trust what you're being shown, and you have no way to check it from the outside. Right, so back to those two shots. Subaru on the stairs, no eyes, face completely dark, body moving without a person inside it. Keiichi in episode 4, half dark face, half terrified. The self is still present but already splitting down the middle. I don't fully know how to explain this, but those two frames are showing you the same process at different moments. Keiichi is earlier in the breakdown. You can still see the fear on his face. The self is still fighting. Subaru is further along. The fight is over. Whatever was home inside him has gone somewhere else. And both shows use the same technique to show it. Darken the face, remove the eyes, because that's what dissociation looks like from the outside before the person inside it knows it's happening. You can see it in the image before they can feel it in themselves. And that's not stylistic coincidence. That's both shows understanding the same thing about how to make psychological deterioration visible. Animation can do this in a way live action struggles with. because you can literally reshape the image to match an interior state without breaking the reality of the scene. The village still looks the same, the tower still looks the same, but the face tells you something has gone wrong. And both shows put you close enough to the face that you feel it before you understand it. And that's kind of the point. So are Higurashi and ReZero the same show, the same series? Obviously not, but they are doing the same thing to you. Both of them take a narrator you trust and gradually make that trust impossible to maintain. The loop in each show, one through parallel arcs, one through death and reset, is a psychological pressure system and not a plot device. And at their most precise moments, both of them darken half a face and remove a pair of eyes to show you exactly where the person went. Higurashi showed you the moment before the self disappears, and ReZero is what comes after that moment. I've been thinking about whether there are other anime that do this with the same level of precision. If you have one, drop it in the comments. I'm genuinely curious what comes to mind. Thank you so much for watching. The full playlist on my ReZero series and videos will be on the screen and in the link below. And see you soon.